Hey everyone. So today is James Cameron's 69th birthday, and I thought to celebrate that we would go over 69 facts about him and his life. Starting with he was born on August 16th, 1954. He is left handed, he's Canadian, he is one of five children, he has five children himself, he has been married five times. His current and I think final wife Susie is they've been married for over 20 years. Um, he worked as a janitor. He worked as a truck driver before he decided he wanted to be a film director. He saw Star Wars, and that was one of the things that motivated him to decide to want to work in the film industry. He has also worked as a technical advisor for NASA. In fact, the lenses on the Curiosity rovers he advised on and worked on. So the pictures you see on Mars, um, James Cameron has contributed to those. He was the first director to gross over $1 billion. He was the first director to gross over $2 billion. That is, make a movie that was a billion and over 2 billion. He married Linda Hamilton, who people probably know more as Sarah Connor in Terminator. Um, he's the first person to solo dive to the Challenger Deep, the deepest place on Earth, in the Marianas Trench, in a submarine that he designed and funded in 2012. I'm not going to add that as another fact. He directed Terminator when he was 30. He moved to New Zealand with his family. He has started his own sustainable farm, which is, I think, called Cameron Family Farms. He directed a number of documentaries after the release of Titanic, which was that looked at various wrecks throughout the world, like Bismarck. He has founded a number of companies. One of them, for example, is called Earthship Productions. Another one is called T-Base 2. And then the third one, which I think is probably the most important, was one called Digital Domain, which did a lot of the CG effects for his movies. He has three of the four highest grossing films of all time. He's one of only four filmmakers to have won the Oscar for both Best Picture and Best Director. He's a vegan. Have I mentioned that he's left-handed? I can't remember. I'm just going to ignore that because I'm going to guess that I have. His middle name is Francis. He founded Digital Domain with his longtime collaborator and fellow genius Stan Winston. He has an audio cameo in every one of his feature films, so he appears in his movies but only through his voice. The appearance, I could go through every one of his movies and give each one of those a fact, but I won't. I will just do one of my favorites, which is that he did some of the noises for the Queen Alien, and I suspect the voice you hear at the very beginning of Aliens that says "There goes like our paycheck" when they're salvaging Ripley from inside the pod. Okay, let me keep going. He originally was going to travel on one of the space shuttles, but it got basically abandoned because of funding and I think because of 9/11. Okay, we're at 30, nearly. Well, not nearly halfway there. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. He knows how to free dive. He owns a freshwater lake or part of a freshwater lake in New Zealand. He's close friends with lots of other directors, so like Peter Jackson, Guillermo del Toro. In fact, he helped save Guillermo del Toro's dad from being kidnapped by basically offering the $1 million ransom and helping get him free. He is a licensed pilot. He knows how to fly a helicopter. He also founded Lightstorm Entertainment, which is his production company. He's a huge fan of anime, Again, that shows in why he helped develop and write Alita Battle Angel. He's also met the creators of Ghost in the Shell and Akira, which I only just discovered recently thanks to a tweet, which was really cool. His mum was an artist and his dad was an electrician or electrical engineer. It's no one's quite sure. Um, he rarely for a director he actually contributes in the editing to his own movies, and I think that he was part of the Academy Award for best editing when they won that, I think for Titanic. He really wanted to get the rights to Jurassic Park, but Steven Spielberg beat him by a couple of hours, and he has described his rendition of Jurassic Park as Aliens but with dinosaurs. He I think has the highest average gross of any movie director because he's only released eight. Is it eight now? 8 feature films. It depends if you count Piranha 2 or not, and his documentaries. I'm just okay. I'm now referring back to the big list that the Based on Robust Network have provided. He participated in art competitions as a young boy, and he's won a couple of them. You can, if you search James Cameron young artist, you'll find a picture of him holding a really cool painting that he did that won a competition. The Avatar came to him in a dream of a bioluminescent forest. The first movie he ever made was called Xenogenesis, and it was basically on a $20,000 budget, and you can find it on YouTube if you search for it. He nearly drowned on the set of The Abyss, which is a really cool story actually. Basically, what he did was the water was filling his rebreather didn't stopped working, and he was swimming to the top, and one of the other divers thought he was panicking and tried to keep him down. Jim punched the diver and swam to the top and basically pulled the thing out and survived. And that's one of the really cool stories from The Futurist, which is a really good book that you should check out if you're a fan of James Cameron or his work. He originally wanted to direct Spider-Man with Leonardo DiCaprio playing Peter Parker, but it didn't work out because of a rights issue with Coleco, I think, with a production company. And he met Stan Lee, for example, having a discussion around that. He once had this is a weird one, I think it's from an interview. He once had a honeymoon in Dublin, and maybe Belfast, but he definitely visited Ireland on one of his honeymoons. He originally interviewed O.J. Simpson, and I think they considered it, but he said that he didn't consider O.J. Simpson scary enough to play the Terminator, and so Arnold Schwarzenegger ultimately ended up getting the role. I'm just looking at all the other ones. So Lightstorm, price to budget ratio. So these are the kind of even further ones. His friends call him Jim. So one of the reasons I think that I refer to him as Jim a lot on the channel is that basically when you watch so many interviews and things about him, you realize that everyone who has ever worked with him calls him Jim. I hope he doesn't find it I hope that he doesn't find it bad or disrespectful that I also call him Jim, but without actually knowing him. He directed Titanic, and I don't know if this is a Jim fact as well. Titanic has the record for the most nominations and most wins of any movie ever made. He originally described Titanic as Romeo and Juliet at sea. He has a huge book of art, which is I think everyone should also check out, which basically covers a huge amount of his art throughout his life, and you can really see the thread from his young life where he's drawing blue women to now where he still loves blue people, but in Avatar instead. this is getting really hard. I'm at 53, and this I'm now starting to struggle. Um, I'm looking through the big long list. He's. I don't want to do the ones where he is influenced by certain people because I think that it's crazy. I'm just currently waiting for more of this. Okay, here's a really interesting fact. Terminator to Terminator 2 has one of the highest, and maybe the highest, profit ratios from original to sequel of any movie ever made. He was poisoned on by someone tried to mix PCP into the like chowder on the set of Titanic, and he just made himself sick and like basically went and ran out and like moved away. Um, he, I think he owned one of the earliest Teslas. I'm not 100% sure. He has been on the Vomit Comet, the thing that astronauts train on, with Elon Musk around that time. And Elon Musk actually once paid to have dinner with Jim. Maybe that's three facts, but yeah, Elon Musk paid money for a thing to the Mars Society where he got to sit with James Cameron at dinner. So they got this like kind of three facts in one. Um, he worked for Roger Corman, who's a really famous B movie director, and who had loads and loads of people like come up under him, including like Jack Nicholson, which I think is really cool. Um, he he remains friends with Arnold even to this day. You can see pictures of him driving motorbikes with Arnold. Um, this is a dubious fact. I would love to see if this checked, but I'm almost certain it's true. I think that he still owns the motorcycle that Arnold drives in Terminator 2. There's an image out there on the internet of James Cameron and Arnold driving around on motorbikes. And the motorbike that Jim is on looks just like the one from Terminator 2. Sticking with Terminator 2, there's a shot in Terminator 2 where the helicopter flies right under the bridge, and everyone else was like basically too afraid to film it. So Jim got in the chase car and was the one who literally had the camera on his shoulder and was chasing along with it. Which there's also a connection to True Lies, a fact from True Lies that um, there's a scene where there's it's basically they're hanging out of a helicopter and Jim was filming in the helicopter, so he was in just as much danger as the actors at the time. He really likes putting himself in danger in that way. He's not afraid to kind of get into the mix with it. When he made Avatar, I'm not sure this is true, but it's certainly a story that's been told a few times. He got in his car because Disney kind of, I don't know, Fox wasn't certain about doing Avatar, so he got in his car and said, "Fine, I'll go sell it to Disney, down the street." To which he got a phone call, and they said, "No, please come back with us," and the rest is history. Um, he first wrote the script of Avatar in I think 1995, but kind of shelved it because it wasn't going to be possible with the CGI effects at the time. He has co-produced even more like documentaries recently, like Secrets of the Whales and Secrets of the Elephants, which add to the kind of environmental the things that he's had, the environmental mission that he's kind of been on since Avatar came out. He originally the script for Aliens originally was called Mother, and he adapted Mother into Aliens. He actually at the same time, so he wrote the scripts for I think Aliens and Rambo Part 2 around this time. So like wrote them together, and I think maybe The Abyss as well as when it started that. People on The Abyss were so afraid of him, they wore t-shirts that said, "You can't scare me. I work for James Cameron." And also, like, I think life's abyss and then you die kind of sums up the kind of the thing that was on the environment that was on The Abyss around that time. Okay, let's come on, we're nearly there. It's not many to go, right? he, I don't want to fall back on I don't want to fall back on the audio cameos that he does. He says that Doctor Strange is one of his favorite Marvel comics because of his ability to manipulate reality, which I guess Jim kind of does with his stories. Um, he, oh yeah, so one of my favorite phrases that he's coined is "dreaming with your eyes wide open," um, a company slogan for Lightstorm, and also one that's just consistently mentioned throughout things like autobiographies. He has basically said multiple times that when he makes a movie, he wants you to feel like you're dreaming with your eyes wide open, and I think that he pretty much achieves that. Um, is that 68? Okay, so one more to go. Um, I'm trying to think of the things that I would tell everyone. Oh yeah, okay. So I guess for a really cool 69th one. So he didn't finish college. He studied physics and then found the math too difficult. Then he studied English and I think he dropped out and didn't graduate. It's the final one. But overall, I think check out his bare minimum. Check out his Wikipedia page. He's truly an inspiration. Certainly, he's been an inspiration to me. His work ethic is way beyond anything that I've personally ever seen before, and it really just I think it really does it does a disservice to him when people are kind of just like, oh, why is James Cameron being interviewed about deep sea exploration or anything like that? Because I mean, he helped develop the remote operated vehicles that they use in Titanic. He's so much more than just like a filmmaker. He's an explorer in every sense of the word. He's an innovator. He's the. I've said it multiple times, and I truly believe it. Is that he is the closest to a modern day Da Vinci that I think where exists in our lifetime. Maybe we'll get another. I hope we do, but I think that James Cameron is the closest we'll get to a modern Da Vinci. I want to give a huge thanks to the Based and Robust Network as always. I want to give a special thanks to everyone that contributed to the big long list of facts about Jim. There's a million that I also missed off. A lot of them were much longer. Um, Special thanks to Anamnesis, who always in the comments as well. Give him a thanks if you see it. Big Boxman 8, Lorenzo, Ultra Bob, and everyone else probably that I missed out who didn't add their names to the document. And I guess finally, happy birthday to James Cameron. He's 69. I hope that he lives for 69 more years and continues to give us, amazing movies. But yeah, and as always, thank you for watching.